refers to the absence of members, and it's given by Speaker Algie. The reality is that many members have to leave the House because they have other commitments. I call the Honourable Member Dr David Clark.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and the member who resumed his seat currently has probably just about run out of crocodile tears for the families of New Zealand after issuing that view that this would be the silver bullet to save the economy as he was depicting it. Look, Mr Speaker, we know that the mining industry in Australia, to which he referred, adds something to their economy. The truth is, it's a fraction of the wealth generated over there. Economic settings play a far bigger part in that story, and this government has an absolutely shameful record, on the economy. It is the worst economic record of any government in the last 50 years. That is what is hurting our families. That is why people don't have jobs. That's why 30,000 jobs have gone from the economy in the last year, Mr Bridges. David Shearer, the leader of the Labour Party, has asked from the beginning for a clean, green, diversified economy.
Order. Can I just say that the member is making a forceful speech, and obviously there's a lot of noise, and the Speaker will not allow a speaker to be drowned out. I call the Honourable Member David Clark.
I thank you for that intervention, Mr Speaker. I appreciate my voice is a little quiet, so I'll try to speak over the member if he gets too noisy again. Mr Speaker, David Shearer said from the start of his time that he wants a clean, green, diversified economy that produces sustainable jobs. Now that vision is very different from what this government is delivering. It's delivering a weaker economy with 30,000 fewer jobs than the year before. It's delivering an economy focused only on the primary sector. Mr Speaker, we need a strong primary sector in this country, but we don't need a monoculture. We need other industries to prosper also. And I note that only recently I looked up the statistics again and saw that non-primary sector production in this country is down 10% under this government. That is shameful. That is absolutely shameful. Down 10%. And jobs are going with that. Inequality is growing because there are not sustainable jobs in this economy. Now, the next point I wish to cover is around the fact that we did support this bill to the Select Committee because we wanted it to be explored further, but we supported it to Select Committee with some clear concerns. This government has refused to address those concerns and those of submitters, and so we are now forced to oppose this bill. This bill could have been a better thing. This bill could have actually delivered jobs in a sustainable way that cared for families, that looked out for New Zealanders, that looked out for the environment, that cared for health and safety concerns, and that benefited local economy. But this government's not interested in those things, it seems. They're only interested in their mates. And those who are behind the scenes trying to push through legislation that benefits one little segment and leaves the rest for dead. Labor does not oppose mining, Mr Speaker. Our history is linked with the West Coast mines. But we believe that mining should be responsibly managed with good environmental stewardship and a long-term view of the industry and the country. Labor supports mining where it's done in a responsible, safe and environmentally friendly way. Okay, we accept, look, we're going to need windmills. Windmills are made out of material that's mined. We need thermos flasks that are made out of material that's mined. And those things are produced through steel, which is produced out of things that's mined. Now, those things can all be done in a sensible and responsible way. But this government's mismanagement in the mining sector is another factor. Look at Solid Energy, the poster organisation for this government. We have photos of Bill English out there turning over the first site on the lignite project with Don Elder. They're not doing that now. And that is because they took on debt. Solid Energy were encouraged to take on debt by this government. They were a billion-dollar company, an award-winning company under the previous government. And
point of order, the Honourable Member Sam Lotu-Iiga.
I know this member is exuberant in his delivery of his speeches, but the substance is totally off topic from the bill that is being considered this afternoon. And can we ask the member to please come back to the Crown Minerals Bill?
Well, I was listening, and the member could perhaps just narrow a little bit.
Mr. Chair.
I know it's a big debate because you're talking about Crown minerals.
Correct.
But let's just try and keep things within standing orders. Call the Honourable Member Dr. David Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I was saying, this government has run solid energy into the ground, and that is because of a lack of oversight and a lack of concern for how this sector is run. And that is my point, Mr. Speaker. This sector is being run in a shoddy fashion. It is not looking out for the interests of New Zealanders. And Labour's bottom lines on mining are, since that member asks, there must be capacity to respond to accidents quickly. Now, we've seen failures in that regard. There must be clear liability so taxpayers don't foot the bill for mistakes. And we've seen this government time and time again hand over responsibility for mistakes to the taxpayer. And there must be robust protection of the natural environment, and we don't see that here either. And there must be a benefit for the local economy. And Mr. Chair, solid energy, if we needed any illustration, shows with all of those people put onto the dole queue that is not happening under this government. The local economy is suffering because of the mismanagement of this government, of this sector. Mr. Speaker, Labor is opposed particularly to there being joint ministerial responsibility for mining on Crown land. This government is determined to take the teeth out of the Conservation Minister's mouth. They are undermining, if you'll excuse the pun, they are undermining the Conservation Minister at every step, and the powers and role of the Minister is drawn into question. We agree, Mr. Speaker, with the concerns of the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment, who stated that the Minister of Conservation will remain accountable for the conservation state, but is no longer in control. Labor is concerned about the economic benefit test to mining of the Dock estate. You only have to look back to those tens of thousands of people marching down Queen Street to get a really clear picture that the public is opposed to mining on sensitive land. And this bill hints at, with its test there, it says, even if an activity is not compatible with the objectives and purpose of the Conservation Act, the activity could still go ahead. That shows you where this government's sitting on this issue. It is not doing that balance. It talks about balance, but it's presenting an unbalanced piece of legislation. They are failing to deliver on jobs in the economy, so they've got this little sideshow over here. It's a bit like the Cycleway, which was the big job project that never delivered. There may be a job here or there in digging on conservation land, probably for the lawyers, I would say and suggest, Mr. Lotu-Iiga. But actually the real thing that needs to be addressed is the fundamental settings in the economy. A proper plan would address the fundamental problems in the economy, Mr. Lotu-Iiga, and that would get jobs back on track. We have sector plans needed, Mr. Speaker, and this government has produced none of them. This reliance on the extractive sector and on primary produce New Zealand is reliant on those things. Our agricultural sector, for example, is about the same size as Denmark's, has been for a long time, but their export per capita now is 3 times New Zealand's because they have had a government that is prepared to be hands-on with the economy, that is prepared to actually take the issue of jobs in hand, that's prepared to grow the economy and not see wages fall year after year after year like they have under this government. This government doesn't care about the workers. It needs to adopt better legislation that actually addresses environmental concerns, that addresses health and safety concerns, that really looks at the issues that are presented in a select committee and considers what submitters say so that legislation can be improved for the benefit of every person in this country. Labor did support this bill to select committee to give the select committee the opportunity to hear from those submitters, to make this into better legislation. Unfortunately, this government, this arrogant government, like it always does, ignored those submitters, stepped away from the advice that was given and is determined to press on with its own vision that is not delivering jobs for this country, that is not delivering jobs for New Zealanders, and that is seeing our economy stutter.
I call the Honourable Member Eugenie Sage. Tēnā koe.